big news out of New York.
Really?
Aaron Rodgers, as it turns out, will not return this season. He said as much on Pat McAfee. Here he is.
I felt like when I came here that I got kind of a renewed passion and love for the game, and everything has been amazing here. Just the people I've gotten to work with, the relationships I've gotten to form with my teammates, and the amazing men and women that work here at One Jets Drive has been really special. I wanted, at least 2 years. I feel like this year is kind of a lost year now that I only played a couple snaps and wasn't able to go out there and improve what I'm capable of and see what we're capable of as a team. I don't think that next year will be my last year. With some of the things that I've learned over the last year, taking care of my body and surrounding myself with some great people who've been helping me with my nutrition and my functional training at a more acute level, I feel like I can play more years and I can be effective into my 40s, which is crazy because I thought that I'd probably be sitting on the couch somewhere at 40, but now I want to be a starter at 40. I want to be a starter at 41. I want to see what I can get out of this body.
All right, Rob. Look, more power to Aaron Rodgers if he can play 2 or more years. But if I'm the New York Jets, Aaron, we are excited about you, man. Let's get to work already in the offseason. We can get a jump start on this 2024 season because you are healed from the Achilles. Let's do something this year. And if you play well, maybe we'll bring you back. But I am not committing to 2 years. You got 1 year left on your deal. Let's finish it out and see how it goes. When you're older, too, you might not want to play after this season. So that's how I would look at it. I would not sign him up, Rob, for definitely 2 more years if I'm the Jets.
I understand what he's saying. He didn't play his 2 years because he didn't play this year. So that's what he's looking at, and that's why it makes sense for what he said, but I agree. I don't think that there's any chance that he plays 2 years there, that there's a chance.
Really?
And
I even if he plays well next year?
Yeah, because I'm not so sure he's going to stay healthy next year. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm just being real. I'm going to be real with – unless the offensive line's going to change. Did you just see what happened? Zach Wilson's a young kid. You see what happened to him the other day against the Dolphins? Like, unless they really fix that offensive line and get this guy in a situation where he'll have time and have a situation to be successful, I don't care who you are as far as quarterback. If you don't have an offensive line, you're going to get killed. I saw Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay with no offensive line. He didn't score any points. Patrick Mahomes. Well, why not? Because you can't, Chris, without offensive line. I don't care who you are. So until they get that squared away, and I really feel like the offensive line, as you get to be 40 years old, coming off an Achilles, having to be ginger, I'm afraid. I'm afraid for Aaron Rodgers going forward. Like, that it's not going to end great in New York because they won't be able to protect him. And there might be another situation where, injury happens. Do I want it to happen? Absolutely not. No. But I was the one who said that the Jets could wind up being the Mets when they have a older pitcher, older quarterback. Injuries happen. Chris, it happens in sports with older guys. We talk about all the time, the way all these NBA careers ended. Isaiah Thomas, all these guys, all Achilles and all of them. So it's real rough. So 2 years, do I see it?
It usually doesn't end well.
It doesn't. I'm just.
I didn't expect you to bring up the injury. I
don't think he's cleared any hurdle.
That's obviously, he's clearly cleared a hurdle. I mean, I give him credit for getting back in this quickly, even though he's not playing. It's impressive. I mean, he worked hard. I will give him props for that. I think, Rob, a lot of this was a farce. I think he probably knew. He even said as much today. He said, we didn't play the clip, but he said it really never was 100% realistic, or it was never realistic.
I never thought he was coming back this year.
Right. That he'd be 100%.
Most players we had on, Chris, most of them all said he's not
it's never
playing.
happened.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to be a freaking scientist to know it's never happened. And he even said today it wasn't realistic that he'd be 100%. which tells me to some degree this was a farce. Now, Rob, I do think there were good and bad points to the farce. I think the good points were he was clearly working hard just to get to where he is right now, to get close to being cleared. And the other Jets players got to see that. They got to see an example of a future Hall of Famer, a guy that they all looked up to for his great career. And if he's working his tail off like that at 40, then I can bust my butt. And secondly, the notion, how even though it was unrealistic, still, it was out there and people were giving it some credence. The notion that maybe he could be back if they made the playoffs theoretically gave them like a carrot out there that was dangling in front of them. Like, man, if we can just get to the playoffs.
So how'd that
play
work?
Hard. No, it didn't work out. But I'm just saying, everything isn't about where it ends. Sometimes it's the journey. And if that could make you work harder and try to play better, because if we get to the playoffs, he can be there, I think that overall is a good thing. The bad thing is, Rob, I think that notion that the Jets front office seemed to buy into and coaching staff that, oh, maybe Aaron will be back, kept them from doing something real with the quarterback position. You could have went out there and gotten a Jameis Winston, a Joe Flacco, a Carson Wentz, somebody that may have been able to help you get to the playoffs. And so that's the negative.
But I don't understand how I don't understand how that affects going out to get a quarterback to play 17 weeks because the guy's not playing this year, right? It is going to when he gets back, Aaron's the quarterback. But we're not going to throw away this year. The idea that they threw away this year doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree. They shouldn't have, but I don't think he wanted him to get a quarterback.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
I think they let him convince him that let's go with Zach, see what he can do, and I might be back. So let Zach hold it down, and I'll be back. Like I mean, I'm speculating, but I don't know why else. Like you said, Rob, why else wouldn't you go get a quarterback?
Because it's the Jets, and I hate to say that, but
I agree with you.
This is Chris. There's a reason people look at teams and say, "Why don't they win? Why doesn't this happen?" None of this stuff makes sense. We've talked about it. We talked about this in the preseason, about the offensive line, Chris. We talked about it, didn't we?
We did. We both said.
Come on.
Look, now look, they got that should be their number one priority this offseason. Right. Obviously, a quarterback that has a quick release, you can do some things. I mean, you don't like Cincinnati, Rob, 22nd ranked offensive line in the league. Their quarterbacks are okay. Now you got Jake Browning playing well. San Francisco's 20th. So we're not saying you got to have a top 10 offensive line. It'd be great, but there are things a quarterback can do, but still, you should go out and try to get the best freaking offensive line that you can.
Well,
and that should be the Jets' number one priority this offseason.
And especially when you have a 40-year-old quarterback who's going to be coming off an injury,
Absolutely.
is what I'm saying. That's all.
I agree with that.